Wall Street laughs while Martin Luther King Boulevard burns, and D.C. can't seem to spit on the fire. There are nearly 6 unemployed people for every job opening, and it's far worse in the poorest neighborhoods. Our nation needs hope and change, but all we've gotten is something called a jobless recovery. We have to stay fired up to make sure our government serves the people, namely by putting millions of folks into good jobs and answering the call of our communities. Here are 3 case studies of winning campaigns that do just that. In the spring of 2009, Los Angeles passed an ordinance for green retrofitting of city buildings, with measures for fairness built into the law from the start. The people of LA made it happen through the grassroots work of the Apollo Alliance and S.C.O.P.E.
We're fighting for systemic change to create good quality jobs, training, and investment in our community and in our city.
It took several individuals to install these solar panels. It took someone to design where the solar panels were going to be installed. It's going to take someone to maintain the solar panels, and that just translates into jobs and job creation.
The new ordinance funds job training, and it creates actual jobs and green career ladders in underserved communities. And it knocks down barriers faced by people of color and low-wealth women by funding bus passes, providing case managers for past substance abusers, and keeping nonviolent felony records sealed.
It was the individuals from S.C.O.P.E. agenda who came to me with this idea. I have to give credit to where credit is due.
In New York City, transportation makes a huge difference for working families. 750,000 New Yorkers lose 2 hours a day to their commute to work, and 2/3 of those people have total household incomes of less than $35,000 a year.
People of color and people who live in low-income communities, we rely on public transportation far more than the rest of the population. With the MTA trying to force service cuts on the city, the buses that have been targeted are the ones that serve, that mostly serve communities of color.
As a member of the citywide COMMUTE coalition, Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice is fighting back. They're demanding that the city fill the hole in train and bus access that stood between communities of color and their jobs and schools even before the economic crisis hit.
We're already, impacted by far too many burdens. Anything that's going to prevent somebody from getting to work or being able to hold on to that job is a serious issue. Bus rapid transit makes it a lot shorter, so people spend a lot less time on transportation, to be able to get to work, but even more importantly, they spend a lot less time to be able to get home to their families afterwards.
Es bien rápido, este servicio, esta línea.
In the Southwest United States, the Navajo Nation suffers from outrageous poverty. Navajo lands are mined by outside corporations to power Las Vegas and Phoenix. Yet most Navajo homes don't have electricity or running water.
There's no process for our community members who live right by these industries to have a voice and say no, or have that right to say no.
With their youth organizing campaign, the Black Mesa Water Coalition won good green jobs for the community and broke away from the tribe's fossil fuel past.
The green economy, for me personally, I see it as a way of decolonizing ourselves.
We have this alternative, and we're very fortunate to have a history and a culture and a lifeway that's green.
Though it's really inspiring to see these 3 victories make the government serve the people better, we need all kinds of creative solutions, local, state, and national. And as we've seen, the people need to make it happen.
If we had something that was a little bit more sustainable, we wouldn't be having these problems. Every year we wouldn't have to come to the people who are already dealing with this very poor service and asking them to spend more money.
So many bailouts, but at the same time there's still people starving and children living homeless. A society that sacrifices its own people needs to be questioned.
Talking to the community about what we would like the definition of a green job to be, rather for someone else in the private industry defining a green job for our communities.
Because we're indigenous peoples, we're people of color, they think of us as the second-class citizen. Teach your people to speak for themselves, to gain that strength.
For more organizing examples you can use coast to coast, check out the case studies and stay tuned to arc.org/greenjobs. I'm Chris Rabb, and this is ColorLines.